mentions winning the fight in 6 rounds. And if you know your boxing, that seems like that's actually going to be the toughest part of the fight for him. Do you look at that? What do you think about that prediction that he ends the fight in 6 rounds?
It sounds good. He's supposed to say that. That sounds good for the cameras. And just like at the press conference, he's saying a whole lot of things that sound good for the cameras. He kept standing up for the cameras because what did he do right after? He sat his big fat ass right back down, right? So all these things, the way he's acting, what he's doing, it sounds good and it looks good for the cameras. I have my hands in my pockets regardless of what he said or how he's acting because I knew he wasn't going to do shit. Because when I popped Jose Jr. in the face in the gym and it was 7 of them and 3 of us, and then my buddy pulled me back over a tire and then I come back forward like this, everybody's backing up just staring at me, not doing anything. And there wasn't no security there. There wasn't no cameras there, And what David do when I popped his brother in his face? Nothing. He stood there and looked at me like a big fat pussy. And what Jose Jr. do? Nothing. Just stood there and looked at me. And then the next day, the gym owner made him come over and apologize and say they're sorry for acting like a fool. So now we're in front of all these people, all these cameras, all these security guards, and I'm supposed to feel like you're going to do something now? Come on, man. So, again, all these antics, all these things he's saying and, acting rah-rah and all this, that stuff sounds good for the cameras. But we don't believe none of that.
Is there an extra edge when it comes to you against David Benavidez? A little something. I mean, I know when you're fighting for undisputed against Canelo, obviously the motivation's at 100%. But with this guy, is there just something a little extra that it brings out of you?
I mean, this is a big fight, and it's going to put me in position for an even bigger fight and to be able to right a wrong. And so, obviously with everything that they've had to say about me, it almost reminds me of everything Darrell said, they ain't no smarter than to think of something besides calling me a bitch and a pussy and, but.
And you feel like that IQ will translate to the ring, not just outside of the ring.
I mean, IQ is IQ. I'm carrying that everywhere with me. So, that it don't matter where I put my feet down, where I lay my feet, this is going to be on top of them. So, again, I'm motivated. I've been working hard, and it's gonna feel good getting my hand raised March 25th.
Back to him talking about it's over in 6 rounds and the duration of the fight. Honestly speaking, though, do you feel like because most experts, people that love boxing, they're saying Caleb gets off to a good start. It's a real tough fight for him in the second half. Do you agree with that? That is going to be the toughest part of the fight, probably, is the second half of the fight, or not necessarily?
I mean, not necessarily. Not necessarily. If he's not on all his P's and Q's, there might not even be a second half of the fight. I'm sure Darrell thought the same thing. And then, I snatched his soul out of his fucking chest. So it's easy to, make these predictions of, what the fight's going to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We're showing up to get our hand raised in fashion, regardless of how that is. And so if he feels like he's going, wants to stop me in 6, here I am.
In the second half of the Canelo fight and the Uzcategui fight, when you won that title handily, Uzcategui did come on a little bit late there, and Canelo came on late. Why? What's got to be done so that's not the case in this fight?
Well, in the Jose fight, specifically, obviously, I wouldn't call this an excuse because I got my hand raised, and I won that fight hands down. It wasn't even close. So there's not really a reason for me to have an excuse. But I will say that night I didn't get any sleep. The night before that fight, I was literally staring at the back of my eyelids for like 8 hours straight. And also went to the ring only at 174 pounds against Jose Uzcategui. So when you add those two things in, you may be a little flat in the second half of the fight because those things are going to carry over. If you don't get any rest, if you're not able to put the weight back on, could be some issues with that. But I made no excuses, even getting that headbutt. Catching a headbutt in the 4th round. I have plenty of reasons, plenty of excuses to succumb to. I'm an underdog. This guy's supposed to beat me. I didn't sleep last night. I didn't put the weight back on. I got my eye cut. But that's not how men handle business. You just gotta keep on trucking and keep pushing, and I handle my business. So if that's what they feel like is going to happen, then again, here I am.